back with another one. They're just coming to me. I'm feeling like these divinely inspired messages just hitting lately. So let's talk about our own red flags, right? I feel like so many times when we're entering into relationships or, just trying to understand them better, we look at other people's red flags. We don't look at our own. We're like, well, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Well, you also have red flags, okay? Otherwise, you wouldn't have clicked on here, okay? We all do, in some level or aspect. And red flags, the way it was explained to me, is the red flags that you ignore in the beginning of a relationship are the reason you leave a relationship. So I know a lot of people are like, what the heck? I'm perfect. Why would you say this? I get it. So let's talk about unresolved trauma, okay? That's a big one for a personal red flag. We should not be seeking to jump into a relationship if we're still not fully healed from our past relationships, okay? If we still have some unresolved shit. And for me, the best way that I found out was pretty toxic when I realized I had some unresolved shit. I just got drunk and then it unleashed, right? And that helped me to not drink anymore, that's for sure. Also, there's healthier ways to figure out what your unresolved trauma is. For example, if you experienced abuse or neglect in your childhood, right? Later on in life, you might experience anxiety, depression, BPD, PTSD, CPS, or whatever, whatever, all those things. CPTSD or whatever. So there's all these things, right? And these, as long as we are dealing with these in our day-to-day life, that means that there's some unresolved shit, right? There's some things that we have not sorted out. We pushed it out to the back of our minds, where, anytime these feelings come up, we're like, oh no, like, that's not conducive, so I'm just gonna shove that away. I'm not gonna think about it, or that's too hard to think about, so I'm just not gonna do that. And that's actually a personal red flag as well, shoving away your own feelings. You should be able to feel your own feelings, as hard as they may be, as much as it may suck. We should be able to feel our own feelings. We should be able to sit with them, right? I know that's a tough one. It's a tough one for me too. Okay, like I said before, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not coming to you as like, oh, I know all the things. It's like, I had to learn these through personal experiences that brought me to where I am. It's not like I had some book that helped me figure it out. And I read books, okay, and they did not all help me figure that shit out. I had to live it, to learn it. And so hopefully I can help you navigate life through my personal experiences, because I feel like wisdom also is being able to learn from somebody else's mistakes, rather than having to experience all the mistakes yourself. And that's what I'm here for, to help you with that. So maybe you can learn from my mistakes. If you notice that you're still suffering in your day-to-day life, and you're unconscious as to why you're suffering, you're like, there's no reason for me to feel like shit, I just feel like shit, that's because something is unresolved. And you need to give yourself the space to feel these things and understand that your feelings are valid, even if they don't make logical sense to you, right? They are valid. Your feelings are important. and you deserve the time and attention that you take for your feelings, to navigate your feelings. Writing is an excellent way of expressing your feelings in a healthy coping way. Writing, having a burning bowl, burn your thoughts if you don't want it to be something that is just laying around for whoever to gander at. And also I feel like burning bowls are a great way to spiritually release things. As we know, with like cord cutting rituals and those things, ceremony is a big thing for me. I had a little ceremony with my son yesterday. He locked his phone, and he forgot his passcode because he had just changed it, and he started melting down, right? And he's like, I don't know what to do. I just want to get in my phone. I'm gonna lose all my stuff if I have to reset my phone. And he's losing his shit. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna try something. And I was like, first, I need you to go drink a cup of water. And I'm thinking, the water on Earth is the same water that the dinosaurs drank from, that our ancestors drank from. There's wisdom in water, there's life in water. Water's good, right? So I brought him to water. Water's calming too, so it helps bring you down, so I was like, all right, drink some water. And he was like, why? I was like, just do it. Like, just, like right now, what's it gonna hurt to drink a glass of water when you're feeling a little like peeved, And then he was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, now I want you to take a really deep breath, hold it in for like 10 seconds, and then release it, like, very slowly exhale. Because oxygen is also very healing, and it's good. It helps you regulate, it helps bring down those cortisol levels, right? There's the scientific reason I did all these things too. And so I light an incense and a candle, right? The incense is Sangre Sagrada, or dragon's blood, which comes from a tree. It's tree sap, right? That's been dehydrated. So that's the earth element. And then the candle also bringing in that fire element. I like to bring in the elements, right? I like the ceremony of it. You may or may not like that, but it was kind of dope how this worked out. And so I light those, and I'm like, all right, just tell yourself 5 times in a row that you're going to remember your passcode, right? And I know it's simple. It's like, it's just, but sometimes when we're in a heated mind state or mindset, and or state of mind, sorry, and we're, the cortisol levels are super high, we can't think rationally, right? So sometimes taking a moment to have a little ceremony and chill yourself out is actually pretty dope, and so he does all that, and I was like, all right, now go, like, you're gonna help cook dinner, right? We're not even gonna think about the phone, we're not gonna think about your passcode. We're just gonna go and focus on, it's time for dinner, we're gonna start making dinner. After he had said that 5 times to himself, he's like, I will remember my passcode, I will remember my passcode. And he's like, I know he's thinking my mom's fucking crazy, and that's fine, he can think it all he wants. But then as he's starting to get everything ready to make dinner, then all of a sudden he's like, I remember it, because he was able to detach himself from the outcome, right? He did the steps to manifest it, but then he was able to detach himself from the outcome. He let it go, and that's when it came to him, right? And I love showing my kids how manifestation works in just even the smallest ways, just remembering things, or dealing with trivial little challenges in life. And the kid was jumping for joy, dancing around, I'll remember my passcode. And I was like, no, draw your passcode pattern on a piece of paper so you don't forget it again. Because you'll get so excited you forget it again, And so he drew it, and, you know. And I love being at a place where I'm helping teach my child how to problem solve, because problem solving was so hard for me growing up. And being able to help my child like navigate problem solving is like, it makes me feel accomplished in a lot of ways, because, and you know, like, and using my spiritual practices to do so, and like showing how it actually works, you know, on a scientific level. I use science in my spirituality, because I feel like science, philosophy, and spirituality are like three aspects that should all be one body, you know. And it's like how the eyes, the mouth, and the ears, you know, they're all aspects of the same head, you know, and they all serve different purposes, but they're still part of the same head, you know. And so, yeah. Also, another red flag: do you know how to problem solve without freaking the fuck out? That's a big one, you know. How do you react to inconvenience? Notice your own triggers too. Like, do you notice your triggers? Are you able to stop cold dead in your tracks, you know, and realize, like, this is a trigger for me, how am I gonna navigate it? Or do you just panic, you know? Because panicking, raising your cortisol levels, makes you think irrational. It makes you do irrational things. And like I said, I've been there. I've done all the things. So I'm not coming to you as like somebody who has just had the perfect response to everything. You know, I definitely have not. And but the willingness to work on it is also a strength, you know. And that's why we're learning about our own red flags, so that we can build strengths out of our weaknesses, right? You find the weakest link in a chain, and you strengthen it. That's what we're doing with ourselves. Our reactions and our responses are very important to notice. And one of the reasons that I did give up, like, drinking and partying and those kinds of things, was because it was bringing me back to old states of, like, old patterns of reactions, old patterns of responses. You know, when you're inebriated, you're not going to react and respond the way that you would in a sober mind. And that was a big one for me. I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't have my wits about me. And my biggest response is flight, actually. And in the last, like, month of my drinking, I had to apologize to so many people, because I would be drinking and then I'd get triggered by something and I'd run away. And when I realized I've been apologizing to all my friends because I'm running away in heated situations, it made me realize a weakness and a red flag in myself. I'm a runner, you know? When the energy ain't right, I go into survival mode and I'm like, I have to get the fuck out of here, right? And then I abandon people who need me, or who, you know, like, need me to be level-headed in a moment. I abandon people. And I don't like that about myself either. That's another red flag that I found about myself. I was like, ugh. And, you know, and it's because growing up, that was survival. Run away from the problem. You know, if you run away, you ain't gonna get beat. So, or you get beat worse later. I don't know. But that was me growing up, just surviving, right? And not wanting to face the consequence of staying. And growing up, I have to realize that consequence I faced as a child is not the consequence that I'm facing in my day-to-day life. Running away from issues doesn't help. You know, running away from discomfort isn't strengthening me. That's a weakness, you know? Running away from uncomfortable conversations isn't a strength. That's a weakness. So what if I don't like discussing feelings? Maybe that's exactly why I should do that. You know? So what if feelings make me uncomfortable? That's exactly why I should confront them, right? And feel them and do those things, you know? And noticing your own patterns, your own red flags can help save your relationships in the future, right? These are things that we can do for our future selves, our future relationships, that could be so beneficial, that can be so rewarding, because we have this tendency to think that the other person is the problem. We're not the problem. They had the red flag, not me. You know, and I want to flip the script, okay? Because it's not always the case. Sometimes we're the toxic person in the situation, and it's important for us to recognize our own toxicities. Otherwise, we're not going to change the behavior if we refuse to look at it, if we refuse to acknowledge it. We are not going to change our behavior, and we're going to continue bleeding our trauma onto the next person that we try to love. And that shit is just not fair, and it's not cool, you know? And, you know, and I think one of the best things I ever did for myself was take time to be single, because it required me to notice my own patterns, my own behaviors. It required me to acknowledge my faults, and to forgive myself, you know, and be patient with myself, be gentle with myself. And there are times where I'm like, God, why did I do that? You know, or why did I think that? Why did I say that? And it's like, well, that was a trauma response, bro. And, you know, like, I can't help anybody if I ain't helping me. I can't be good in a relationship. I can't fix the patterns of my past relationships if I ain't fixing my patterns now. If I'm not fixing the patterns even in my own friendships, you know, where as soon as, you know, like, I'm uncomfortable, I'm like, I'm gonna just run away real fast. I'm not going to face that. You know, I gotta fix that shit. I gotta face the uncomfortable shit. One thing that I started doing with my kids to fix this generational curse is when I see them after school, after I get off work and stuff, I'm like, how are you feeling today? You know, like, I ask them about their day, and then I ask them how they're feeling about their day. And then when they tell me about certain things that happen, I'm like, well, how did that make you feel? You know, because I want to get my kids to actively, like, to know, like, they're allowed to feel things, for one. Their feelings are important and valid. How they navigate their feelings is important, you know, and to really, like, get them in touch with their higher selves, you know, because, like, otherwise, what's the fucking point of being a parent? You know, if I'm not going to help them through this shit. That's, you know, that's my view on it anyway. Because I want them to do better and to be better than I was, right? That's evolution. They need to do better and be better, and the best way I can do that is for me to be better with them and to do better with them than my caregivers did with me. And so, you know, it's a struggle, you know, because at first, when your child is, like, crying and having a meltdown and you're like, you don't know what to do, the first thing you want to do is be like, well, stop, you know, don't do that. But what if the response was different? And it's like, okay, your feelings are valid, but you do need to calm down, right? Like, because you're not going to think rationally while you're in a heightened state of mind. So right now, like, let's talk about the feelings. Let's feel the feelings. Let's talk about it. Let's, you know, let's sort through it. and navigate these feelings. Let's map it out, and that's not easy for a parent or a child. Okay, because like you got a screaming kid and the first thing you're thinking is please fucking stop. But you don't want to run away from your kids' feelings either, like that's important. You don't want to run away from your children's feelings. You want to understand their feelings. You want to navigate that, and that will build a healthier bond and relationship with your children. Overall, if you're able to be like, okay, you notice that they've got behavior patterns that you're like, bro, what is this about? Why are you doing this? First you have to get to the source of it. What were they feeling that led to that pattern of behavior? Like, why do they feel the need to rebel? What are they rejecting right now? And understanding our own faults, taking accountability as parents is important. If you are a parent, if you're not a parent, then you're probably like, this does not relate to me at all, and that's fine. But also understanding that your parents didn't have the skill set in life to help you navigate your own feelings and to mediate them, if you will, helps you to understand too where a lot of your issues may lie. And that shit is important. Understanding your own childhood, understanding that your parents were not, they may not have been equipped to handle your emotional states, or they may have been like, yeah, go have whatever you want so you just aren't in my face, or whatever. Understanding that dismissive behavior that you experienced as a kid does affect you in your adulthood. It makes you become dismissive with others. When other people come to you with uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable feelings, and you become dismissive because you'd rather just not have to, because that's what you were taught, like that your feelings were shameful, or your feelings were not, they were inconvenient for those around you, therefore you're dismissive of other people's feelings because they become inconvenient for you, right? And that's not fair. It's not fair. We actually shouldn't be dismissive of people's feelings. We should be like, bro, like, you're feeling something? Let's talk about that. Why are you feeling that? What's going on? What's your world like? Because then something I learned, actually from my ex-husband's fiance, I actually love this shit out of her. But something I learned from her, because we were talking about how different brains like think different. Like some people think in pictures, some people think in dialogue, some people, and if you understand that we don't even think the same way, right? From brain to brain, everybody's brain operates so vastly different from the other brain, and when you do enter into partnerships or friendships or whatever kind of ships, family ships, trying to understand the way that their brain operates is actually a very important aspect to understanding them as a person. You can't understand somebody if you don't understand, or at least try to understand. And so there's this really cool thing that happens when you ask people about their thought patterns. Like, do you think in pictures? Do you think in words? Do you think in songs? Do you think in stories? Like, do you think in different languages? Like, whatever the case. Like, that was a big one for me. Like, I'm like, do bilingual people think in different languages? Like, does it change up when they start learning a different language? Like, I want to know those kinds of things. And one of the best parts about being in a relationship, and I'm not in one, but is learning about, like, the way that they think and what's going on, what their world is like, right? That should be an exciting aspect to a relationship, is diving into the depths of who they are and really like trying to become understanding of it. That will help you in the long run with like how to problem solve in this relationship when they're having uncomfortable feelings or thoughts or whatever. And also another red flag that you should notice about yourself is, do you trust, right? Like trust issues are a big one. If you have trust issues, you absolutely should not be in a relationship until you navigate that. Until you understand why you have trust issues. Yeah, obviously it comes from your trust being betrayed, obviously. However, you have to understand your experiences with one person are not going to be the same as with another. Hold on, I'm getting a call. All right, so back to my main point. So a big thing about your trust issues also, because your trust has been betrayed in the past, you don't trust your own judgment, right? If you have trust issues, it stems from you not trusting your own judgment because you made a bad decision before. You made a decision thinking it was in your best interest, and it wasn't, right? And so you have to, or you don't have to, I would never tell you you have to do anything, but you should figure out like why you feel that way. And really notice like your own patterns. Like, do you have impulsive behaviors? Do you have reckless, self-sabotaging behaviors? Those types of things can really help you in the long run. Like, because when you start making better choices for yourself, you start using discernment in your decisions, then it's easy to trust, because you would not choose a partner that is not in your best interest, because you will have vetted them out, right? You will have made sure, like, I am able to trust this person without a shadow of a doubt, because I trust my own judgment to choose somebody who's looking out for my best interest as well, and that you also have their best interest at heart, right? Like, you also are somebody that they can trust. That's important too. Like, you don't have any bad intentions or shady behaviors, you know, that would make you a bad decision for somebody else, right? This will really help you with building your trust, you know, rather than you testing people, right? Testing your friends, testing your relationships, because that in itself is toxic. Rather than testing, you know, be discerning, make good choices. The better your choices are in your day-to-day life, the better choices you make in partnerships, right? And in other ships, all the ships. I feel like we don't talk about this shit enough. And so that's why I really want to talk about all this shit, because this is it's important. If we are collectively healing our generational curses or generational traumas, we got to get to a point where we're like, well, what created these issues to begin with, right? Because your relationships are physical representations of your own relationship with yourself. So, in order to heal your external relationships, you've got to heal your internal relationship. Your relationship with others is going to be really indicative of your own relationship. If there's trust issues, you don't trust yourself. If you have insecurity with your partner, you have insecurities with yourself. You know, and it's oftentimes the things that we don't want to confront about ourselves that are the most important to confront about ourselves. I did not think I was insecure at all. I was like, I'm confident. God made me dope. I feel dope, you know, like, but where I lacked confidence was in my relationships, right? Where I lacked a sense of security was in my relationships. I was like, I only felt secure and stable in being alone, because that was stable, it was predictable. I knew exactly how I was going to feel from day to day. I knew, and when you love somebody, that creates a world that you have no control over, right? It's unpredictable. It can be a mess. They've got feelings, you've got feelings. It can be a whole thing, and so that's where my insecurity lied. And I was so busy, focused on building up in other areas of my confidence. I didn't realize that I need to be able to have confidence in my relationships. I need to be able to have confidence in my friends. I need to have confidence in my partner. I need to have confidence with my children. I have to have confidence with my brother and my sister, and in every aspect. That's where I needed to build my confidence. And that's where I needed to build my trust, right? Because that's the hardest thing, and it's kind of like when you're a parent, and I'm bringing that up because parenting is a pretty big deal for me. When you're a parent, oftentimes we get to a point where our kids are growing up, and we get scared, and we're like, they're gonna have to face the big bad world, and what are they gonna do? What if they need me? We need to have confidence that we have raised capable people, right? We have to have confidence that they will make good decisions in life. We have to have confidence that they will have the wits about them to do this shit, right? And understand, and I noticed it with my own mom, because my kids are teenagers or whatever, and we were at my mom's house, and my kids were like, can we scooter around the block, right? And my mom's always like, this isn't the best neighborhood, da-da-da. They're teenagers, bro, right? And so the way I was like, yeah, scooter around the block. You guys have your phones, just as soon as you see the street light on, make sure you're inside, And my mom had the most anxiety I've ever seen her have. She was like, you don't love them, you don't care if anything. I'm like, dude, I absolutely love them. Hold on, I'm getting caught. But yeah, so with children, and then it was funny, my mom's like, and I'm like, first of all, my kids are both trained in self-defense, and and I'm like, and I have confidence in them that they'll make good decisions. They're not going to talk to strangers. They're not going to go, in a shady area. They're going to stay, I trust my children to make good decisions. I have confidence in them. My mom did not, right? And and I understand, it's her attachment, right? She has an anxious attachment style. And so when she loves somebody, she's clingy, right? She's like, you can't go anywhere or do anything. If you go outside, it's not safe and you'll be in danger forever. And it's it's not cohesive, right? It's not good to teach your child that the world is so dangerous that there's no way that they'll survive it, right? No, they need to be so strong, so confident, and so well off that when you introduce them to the world, when you have to let your little birdie fly, that you're like, nah, the kids are not out there stuck in the world, right? The world is stuck with my kids now, the world's gonna have to face the music, because now these little monsters are being unleashed. My little krakens, they're unleashed on the world now. What you gonna do about it, world? That's how you should feel as a parent, very confident in them as people, right? These are good ass people, right? You raise them with the best intentions, in the best way that you know how. They're strong, capable. When they start dating, they're gonna make good decisions in relationships because you taught them about the red flags. You taught them to be safe. You taught them about the important shit, right? So, like, you know they're not gonna tolerate somebody trampling on their boundaries, right? Like, and you know they're not gonna be trampling on their partner's boundaries. They're gonna be good for their future partner because you raised them to be. These are the things, right? These are important. And so, you know, and for me too, like, another thing is being brutally honest with your kids. And not, brutal is probably too much of a word. Being super honest with your children, you know, builds so much trust and mutual respect when you're able to be open with them, you know, like, and be like, look, here's reality, dog. And to take accountability with them when you've messed up and your kid, you know, like, in whatever area, you need to have the humility to come to your child and be like, yo, bro, I messed up, like, and I'm taking accountability. That will teach your child to take accountability later in life, to be accountable people, to have that integrity, to be like, yo, I fucked up, my bad, you know, like, and to be a safe zone for them, all right? To be that safety net for them where they can come to you about shit. They are allowed to come to you about shit. They're not going to be treated as, like, bad people for making mistakes, like, or they're not going to be treated like, you know, whatever. Like, they need to know, like, they are safe to come to you about shit. Shit's important, you know? I never felt, I mean, my mom always opened up the door, you know? And she's like, you can talk to me about everything. But then when I would come to talk to her about certain things, then shut the fuck down. She was just not super open to it. And that's part of her anxious attachment, you know, that, like, as soon as she, you know, realized, like, there were issues, she just wanted to shut down any issues. She didn't want to discuss them. I did not feel confident in her ability to handle the truth, because she was always so untruthful with me, you know, because she was always sugarcoating shit for my feelings, and because, you know, she wasn't able to be fully authentic with me. And I know she did it coming from, like, her best nature. She wasn't doing it to hurt me. She wasn't doing it to hurt our relationship. It did, though, you know. It did hurt our relationship, and it was very, like, damaging for me. Made me become a fearful avoidant later in life, you know, like, because I was afraid that anytime, you know, I was open and honest in life about certain things, that, like, that it was the end of the fucking world. You know, it made me afraid, you know, and it, rather than, like, just blatantly lying about things, I omitted things. I was like, you know what, like, it's not lying if I don't talk about certain things, you know. And then later on I realized how even that was lying. That's not being open. That's not being authentic. If you know, like, something should be discussed, you should discuss it. And that's part of your confidence, is understanding, like, that you know, having confidence in speaking your truth and facing your own reality, taking accountability. Have the confidence to take accountability, you know. Dang it, I missed my turn twice. I will get to this location. Luckily it's, like, right there. But, yeah, anyway, I should probably end this rant, because I'm, like, I'm distracted. But I just wanted to talk about these things. I think it's important, you know. I'm learning, and I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to grow, and I want to share with the world what I'm learning and growing into, you know. And so I hope that these rants are helpful for you. And I know there's going to be a part 2 to this, because I don't feel like I've unleashed all of my information onto the world. It's just goodbye for now. This is part 1 of a part 2 rant, or 2-part rant. Maybe more parts, I don't know. But I know that this is not the end of this rant. So, namaste. I love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.